Be with us. We'll go on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Jayesh Wazirani, and he is a very prolific surgeon, as you all are going to understand as we see his video. He specializes in cornea and complex ocular surface disorders with great finesse and expertise, and his practices in his hospital Excel Eye Care Center at Ahmedabad. So we are looking forward to some learning from you, Dr. Jayesh. On to you. Could you share your video?
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Presenting a case where the challenge is not so much with the surgery itself as with what happens before and after surgery. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Right. Just don't know how to go to full screen because my Zoom window is sort of covering my controls on the.
You have to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
F plus F5.
Right. Fine.
Right, done.
So cataract surgery in eyes with chronic cicatrizing conjunctivitis presents a unique set of challenges. This 65-year-old woman, is it moving forward for everyone, the slides?
No, it hasn't moved forward.
Hasn't moved forward.
Yeah, it has.
So this 65-year-old woman presented to us with conjunctival scarring in both eyes, as well as extensive symblepharon in the left eye with partial limbal stem cell deficiency and significant cataracts in both eyes. So functional challenges in such cases include progressive scarring and limbal stem cell deficiency, recurrent surface inflammation and epithelial breakdown, dry eye disease, as well as the risk of poor wound healing. In addition, in this case, the left eye presented us with specific difficulties, such as no space for inserting a speculum, limited space for maneuvering during surgery, as well as the risk of post-operative exposure due to poor eyelid closure. In this case, a diagnosis of mucous membrane pemphigoid was confirmed by immunofluorescence studies from both the conjunctival and buccal mucosal specimens. Intravenous pulses of cyclophosphamide followed by maintenance doses of oral azathioprine were used to achieve disease quiescence. And following this, staged surgery was performed in the left eye first. So in the first stage, we released the symblepharon. One can see here that before releasing the symblepharon, there's absolutely no space to put the speculum in. And once the symblepharon is released, we put the speculum in and measure the extent of the bare area that is created on the sclera right up to the inferior fornix. And an appropriately sized buccal labial mucosal graft is harvested. And this is then trimmed, sized according to the area of the defect, and then thinned out as much as possible. So this is harvestation of the graft from the inner aspect of the lower lip of the same patient. It obviously takes a lot more time, but we are going fast forward. And then this graft is secured to the bare area using both sutures and fibrin glue. So the sutures are used to anchor the edges of the graft superiorly, and the rest of it is just glued down. So following this first stage, the fornices were well formed. And this basically allows us to perform a routine phacoemulsification in this case. So here I'm using a superior approach as I want to avoid the inferior area of pannus and scarring. So a capsulorhexis is done. I'm using a stop and chop technique to emulsify the nucleus. And then the cortical lens matter will be removed once the nucleus is removed. And this is pretty much a standard phaco now. And at the end of surgery, an intraocular lens is placed in the bag. Right. So following uneventful cataract surgeries in both eyes, the patient maintains excellent visual acuity and has been now symptom-free for the past 2 years. To summarize, a holistic approach that encompasses conjunctival biopsy for establishing the underlying diagnosis, prompt and prolonged systemic immunomodulatory therapy, as well as meticulous surface reconstruction are the keys to successful cataract surgery in patients with chronic cicatrizing conjunctivitis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jayesh. I have 3 questions for you. One is, how do you alter your post-op regimen in these cases? And what is immunosuppression? Do you hype it up in the immediate pre, or what do you do? The second question, yeah.
So the first thing to note is, I mentioned it on one of the slides, is that we operate only once we have a minimum of 3 months, maybe more, of disease quiescence. That is, there is no discernible inflammatory activity. Once that is achieved and the patient is stable on the immunosuppression, in this case, it was oral azathioprine, I do not add or subtract anything in the perioperative period. In terms of steroids, intravenous, oral, topical, everything is as per routine for a phacoemulsification.
Okay. Now, supposing this was a stationary kind of situation.
Can you unshare your screen, Jay?
Unshare your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Supposing, Jayesh, this was a non-progressive symblepharon.
Right.
In that case, could you have just used traction sutures and
Yes.
done it without doing it so extensively?
Yes, that was always an option. That was always an option. But that would have meant a little bit more acrobatics during surgery in terms of exposing the eye, and maybe not that much comfort. With the deeper phonics, it just becomes easier. That's all.
Yeah.
And also
Very good.
cosmetically, the patient feels better. That was one of the requirements in this case.
Yeah. So ideally, you would wait for at least 3 months of quiescence before you take up these cases.
Yes, at least.
I think the
Namrata,
eye
you
has
have
to be
anything to ask?
eye has to be completely white when you do the surgery. And if it's kind of hot or it is, inflamed, then there's no point doing it. So I think Jayesh, very well managed case again. Very tough case, actually. Very tough case. And then despite the fact that you put an amniotic membrane there and you have to quickly do the cataract surgery, because there's every chance that, your symblepharon would recur and your keratinization would be there again. So you have to space it like that, you do it quickly. The only thing I would do a little differently is that instead of azathioprine, I think mycophenolate mefetil does well for these cases. And I would also post-operatively give systemic mycophenolate mefetil for about a month, so that this episode of pemphigoid doesn't, acute episode doesn't recur again.
Any expert panel have anything to ask?
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
from both? I think it's a beautifully managed case and it is a learning experience from this particular video. It is very interesting. Is there any chance of any difference we see in the cornea in these cases, and incisions, if we have to take any care of making the incisions in such cases? And because maybe there is
I was also, trying to see whether Jayesh put a suture or not, and he didn't, because what happens is that corneas tend to be a little thinned out, and then there's that incision pouting or a gape, and so you may have to put that.
I didn't show it in. Yes, of course. I suture all these cases,
So
not just the main incision, all the incisions, side ports also.
Yeah, so I was,
we have to suture them.
You have to.
And do we have to put air in the anterior chamber to avoid any leakage or such
that
thing?
wouldn't occur, but I'll just talk about 2 points that are extremely essential in these cases. In these cases, what happens is that they are diagnosed at dry eye and they hop from one, physician, one ophthalmologist to the other. All that is changes lubricants. So it is very important to make a diagnosis in ocular cicatricial pemphigoid, because if you immunosuppress them timely, their corneas are not going to become white or keratinized. But if you don't, and if you just keep giving lubricants, those acute episodes are never taken care of. And that whitish thing that he had shown, that keratinization part which came right up to the limbus, actually covers the whole cornea. And then you can't do a cataract also. So if these people, they have a cataract, they should be done earlier than later, because you will not be able to stop the corneal changes and the ocular surface changes. They would still occur, but you don't want the cataract to get hard and then you trying to struggle through the hazy cornea and trying to then do a cataract in a hard cataract, do a hard cataract surgery. So it is very important that when you have cases of dry eye where there is inferior fornicel shortening like he showed, or there's obliteration of the plica medially, it is extremely important you do a conjunctival biopsy to rule out ocular cicatricial pemphigoid. Because we miss them, we miss these cases, and we are doing a disservice to them because they can be immunosuppressed. Corneas can remain clearer for a prolonged period of time if you rightly treat them and timely treat them. So that is why it is very important in these cases to be, to come at the diagnosis, which comes only by histopathology.
Very wonderful case, Dr. Jayesh. Anything else, or shall we go on to our next speaker?